Hi, I'm Brittany Allman.
I'm Grace Hofer.
And I'm Chastity Huback, and today we'll be summarizing Project-Based Learning by Tom Markham.
In part 1, Tom discusses getting ready for PBL, project-based learning, and he gives us 6 tasks for project-based learning teachers. The first is to build on trust and care, which means having caring relationships, the desire for meaning and purpose, which means setting a goal for your students, and the power of mastery. In the second task, it is redefine rigor. Rigor is the broad capacity to learn, apply, communicate, and share information. There are 3 aspects of it: core knowledge, skills, and dispositions. The third is create the right condition. This can be achieved by using the language of peak performance, treat soft skills as hard skills, expect mastery, train the information, reward wow with complimenting your students, pass along the 10,000 hour rule, which says mastering a skill at a high level takes 10 hours of practice, teach to the iceberg, which is engaging the deeper self of your students, be aware of your emotional content, do the small things, and don't use teacher talk. The fourth task acknowledges learn from the gamers. The fifth task is design projects that matter. This basically means that we include things like service, change, innovation, and future into your projects instead of just core subjects like math. And the last tip is expect more, which means believe that your students want to work harder. And I really like the quote he used: trust that human beings want to learn and are willing to work at it. Your job is to put interesting challenges in your students' past. In closing, Tom also mentions being wrong and how we should applaud being wrong and help each other to be right. His tips are very useful for having a successful PBL.
In part 2, it was all about designing the project. He included 4 steps for a good project. The first one was identifying the challenge. He tried to make it local challenges that so the students would be able to do, and that would let the students become more interested in what they were trying to do. We were supposed to make sure that the challenge is worth a project and not just something that could be solved with a simple instructions, and that projects are based mainly on 2 weeks at a minimum, so we were to give a challenge that is something worth being a project and not just something that could be solved. Part 2 was making the driving questions. These questions are supposed to involve in-depth answers and not just simple yes and no ones, so that students would be able to think through and come out with a good answer, and not something that they could just skim over and come out with. The third one was start with results. Just let there be an audience that the students be able to present to at the end of the project, and that there would be a plan for the students to be able to follow. So once they decided what to do, they needed to have a plan in order to continue, and to be able to find what is needed to be known. Start with the basics and then continue on that and decide what you can add on to that, but be able to point out the basic points. The fourth one was build the assessment. It included 5 areas that the students should be learning in, which are facts, concepts, skills, processes, which could be critical thinking, flexibility, and such, and demonstrations, which are using the above to show that they are learned, that what they need to know was learned. And we were supposed to grade by the learning experience and not just by their final project. This way it shows what they learned throughout the course and that they actually learned it, instead of just how well they do at the end.
Part 3, manage the process. There are 3 keys to exceptional results. The first key is to set the hook. There are 3 tools to help introduce a topic and challenge. One is the entry event. Introduce the challenge with a provocative discussion, video, guest lecture, timely article, or any other means you think will hook your students. Number 2 is the entry document. A more formal written mechanism, the entry document, engages students in the project by setting forth a problem or challenge and asking students to solve it. And the third tool is the need to know chart. Use this chart to capture questions and current knowledge. Keep chart running throughout the project and update it every few days. The second key to exceptional results is describe the why of the project. Context is crucial to learning. Discuss the goals of the project and why you think it is important. Have students discuss the project in a fishbowl. Gather them in small groups and ask them to discuss reasons and authenticity of the project. Also, if you're working with teachers, put the teaching team in a fishbowl and discuss the project in front of your students. The third key to exceptional results is to emphasize career readiness. Use this as a motivational tool by educating students about global workforce requirements, competing school systems, and achievements of students from other countries. Let them know how other systems define a world-class education, including the following 4 elements. Always assume that students want to exert themselves to solve meaningful problems. The first element is success in academic courses. Relate success in academic not to admission to the best university, but to job competency. The second is strong generic work skills. Getting to work on time, knowing how to take supervision, and work ethic are key attitudes. The third element is problem solving. High-performing school systems teach students to ask questions, analyze, and think deeply about problems and challenges. The fourth element is to refine the driving question again. Once you introduce the driving question, discuss it with the students and make sure they understand it. Also, consider other techniques, like using protocol to refine the question and create a question by working the process in reverse. The next thing you should do is teach innovation, the love of learning. 7 strengths that fit well with any project-based learning project are creativity, curiosity, open-mindedness, persistence, empathy and kindness, and hope. Lastly, focus on quality. Build a collective knowledge through collaboration. Prepare teams, insist on norms, empower students to coach one another, challenge teams, and value beautiful work. End with mastery. Make learning memorable. There's 3 things you should do to do this. Plan for exhibitions and presentations. Reflect performance and learning, and reteach if necessary.
The only source we used in this video was the book Project-Based Learning by Tom Markham. I'm Brittany Ellman.
I'm Grace Hofer.
And I'm Chastity Huback.
And this is our podcast for Project Net.